Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're here today with episode 1934 of the Cabral Concept. We're here with our second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, and hopefully you tuned in yesterday because each and every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, we answer 6 questions each day from our community. So these are already have come in over the past 6 weeks or so. It's usually we're about 6 weeks or so playing catch up always on your questions, but they are answered in the order that they come in. Always wellness, weight loss, anti-aging. Happy to help with any of those particular topics. Just remember, of course, that I'm not providing any type of diagnosis or cure or treatment protocol. Always work with your qualified healthcare practitioner for those one-on-one treatment plans. And the reason is that they're going to know your whole health history. They'll know any contraindications they need to look at, etc. My job, though, is I would love to be able to be a sounding board for you. I'd love to be able to give you a second opinion, another place to look, or something that you may not have thought of. So that's my job. I'm happy to do it for you. Again, every Saturday and Sunday, completely complimentary service. And if you have a question, you can always ask it at stephencabral.com/ask Cabral. Do keep in mind, we don't see any of these questions as they come in. So if it's customer service, please just always email support@equa.life. Or you can ask your question right at cabralsupportgroup.com for same-day answers that are health-based related, of course, not customer service based. Okay, so having said all that, let's dive right into today's questions. So really looking forward to this, like I said, every single weekend, being able to answer all these great questions. And I never look at the questions ahead of time, so they are always fresh, meaning that I'm going to answer you exactly how I would if we were to bump into each other. I just actually bumped into one of our IHPs in the airport in Phoenix, Arizona, just last week. And it was funny. It was great it's always great to be able to see so many people from our community. And it's always funny being recognized, of course. I had a mask on inside of the airport. So like you could literally only see my eyes and like maybe my hair sticking up. And anyway, we had a nice little 5-minute chat. And again, always great to meet people from this amazing community, especially all of our IHPs, of course, that are trying to spread this same work all over the world. All right. First question's from Ellen. Ellen says, I've been told by a few naturopaths that my DHEA is high, ranging from low 200s to 390. I'm a 60-year-old postmenopausal woman who experiences fatigue, lack of energy, and regular insomnia. My primary doctor doesn't seem concerned, provides little direction. Can you shed light on DHEA's importance and how to lower it? My cortisol is also high. I do not feel stressed. Okay, so a couple things here. So one is your primary care physician. It's unlikely that they're trained in any of this. So again, like no disrespect, it's just not what they do, okay? It's like, I don't perform surgery, I don't prescribe pharmaceuticals, and they don't work on natural health or hormones, right? So here's the thing. It's not enough just to look at DHEA, okay? You have to look at what are the other hormones doing. It's almost impossible to say, oh, this person has high DHEA, it's this, that, or the other thing. You don't know, right? DHEA, when high, when elevated, is typically high elevated during one of the first 2 phases of stress on the body. We'll just call it HPA axis dysfunction or stress. Okay. So typically the first few phases, you'll see elevated DHEA. And now you gave me a little window into this though, because you told me that your cortisol was also elevated. Now you said, but you don't feel stressed. Okay. It's okay to not consciously be aware of stress, but yet the physical body is stressed. So psychologically, don't feel stressed. Physically, you feel stressed. So there's no doubt, Ellen, that your body's stressed, okay? Because it's showing you that it is. It's telling you, hey, I have high DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone. I have high cortisol, stress hormone, right? So now we know that you're stressed, right? You just don't psychologically feel stressed, but from an autonomic nervous system perspective, you're definitely stressed, right? And again, there's just no other way around that, because the lab tests, that's why it's so amazing to run lab tests. And I can't recommend enough that you run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism test to find out your hormone levels, which will help you with the aging-based process, meaning anti-aging, and your stress levels, right? So important. It looks at thyroid for metabolism, vitamin D, testosterone, estrogen, cortisol levels throughout the day, DHEA, as I said, your free T4, free T3, TSH for your thyroid, TPO antibodies, insulin, hemoglobin A1C, vitamin D. It's an amazing test. You get all that plus a consultation. So, that's really what you want to do, because your medical doctor is not trained on how to read this unless they went through a program like the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute or IFM or one of these other ones that are just based on labs. But even with IFM, I went through IFM, they don't teach you how to read labs in depth. I had to do specific mentorships with other doctors that were at the top of their field doing this over a decade ago. So anyway, I just want to make sure that you're always getting the right information, right? You don't have to work specifically with my team, but you really do want to work with someone qualified to give you the answer. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to figure out what the stressor is, right? So you say you're not stressed, which again, I agree with you, but there could be suppressed trauma. So it's possible, suppressed post-traumatic stress disorder. Maybe that's not it. Maybe it's heavy metal burden on the body. Maybe you're in pain because of an injury and that's causing stress in your body. So if you read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, you'll kind of see that there's toxicity issues, there's pain issues, there's things that could cause stress in your body to elevate that DHEA. Okay? Karen is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral, and thank you in advance for helping me with this problem. I'm a 48-year-old healthy woman who's experienced flushing, brain fog, and profuse sweating on my eyelids and under my eyes whenever I consume garlic. Sometimes even the smell of garlic can cause the onset of these symptoms. Unfortunately, this sensitivity has become much worse as I've gotten older. These symptoms will last several hours, be uncomfortable. Let me keep going. I have to drink large quantities of water, chewing some gum. Makes sense to me that this is an allicin sensitivity, but my symptoms seem so odd in comparison to other food sensitivities based on these symptoms. Do you have any insight as to what this might be? What happens if I accidentally ingest garlic? I'm in the habit of asking the restaurant to refrain from adding that. Let's see what else. Okay, sure. And I'm happy to help you with this. So there can be multiple things going on right here. However, I believe it probably is the allicin, which is the ALLICIN sensitivity that you're talking about, or more broadly speaking, a sulfur-based sensitivity. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. I'm gonna say to you, Karen, do you also get these symptoms if you consume a lot of broccoli, okay? If you consume a lot of Brussels sprouts or cauliflower or maybe even some onions? Because those are high sulfur as well. Or what if you were to take something like N-acetylcysteine as a supplement? Or you were to take MSM, or what's another good one that we could talk about? I wouldn't consider glutathione the same because that's the end process. Another one would be L-carnitine, sulfur-based, right? So do you have these same reactions? Because if you don't, then the good news is it's most likely then not a sulfur-based detox issue, because many people have those. And this is more of a specific garlic-based issue. And then this would be, yes, a sensitivity. So the best thing I can tell you when you have a sensitivity is that you need to try to eliminate it for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, or 6 months to the best of your ability. And then your body can become less reactive to it as you open up your liver detox pathways, as you balance more of your Th1 to Th2 immune system. So again, I don't know enough about you, Karen, but I would definitely run at least I would run the gut-based labs. So I'd run it, at the very least, I would run the Candida metabolic and vitamins test. That's the very least. And then next I would maybe run that bacteria and parasite stool test, okay? Food sensitivity is great, no doubt about it. That would give an IgG. Yours happened within minutes to hours, so that's not an IgG reaction. That's more of an immediate reaction, an IgE, IgA. So hopefully that helps. Happy to do follow-ups. But of course, I don't know if this is sulfur-based, but I've done podcasts on that. And I don't know if this is food sensitivity-based. And of course, if it's a food sensitivity, because it really just happens with garlic, then that's one that we need to stay away from for right now, while maybe healing that gut to a better degree, right? Rebalancing the yeast, rebalancing the bacteria, and sealing up the gut wall with something like the CBO protocol, followed by the CBO finisher, using the daily probiotic support after that. And then staying away from garlic, and then say, okay, how do you feel in 3 months from now, 6 months from now? All right. Sarah's up next. I understand the benefits of infrared sauna. I feel like I skipped someone. Maybe not. I understand the benefits of infrared sauna multiple times a week. Right now, I'm only able to go once a week. However, I do work out 5 times a week, a mix of strength and high-intensity interval training, and sweat a lot. So my question is, does sweating during cardio provide the same benefit as the detoxification benefits of the sauna? This is a great question. I've been asked this many, many times, and I'm also happy to answer it for you, though. So here's what you want to know about that. When you're in an infrared sauna, it's actually different than anything else. That's why I love regular sauna and I love infrared sauna, and I do both. Infrared sauna is better than all other forms of sweating because it does seem to draw out a greater amount of heavy metals and toxins. One of those specifically could be mold as well. But sweating in a regular sauna without infrared will also help with those detoxification benefits. So sauna, amazing. Now, there's something different about sauna than there is about your strength training and high intensity interval training. And that's when you're in the sauna, you're shifting towards what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, where greater amounts of healing and detoxification can take place. When you're doing high intensity interval training, you're in more of the sympathetic nervous system, where detoxification and those metabolic processes are not happening at the same degree. So, do you get benefits from sweating in general? The answer is yes. And you get detoxification benefits. And so the answer is yes there. Are they as great as sauna or infrared sauna? And the answer is no. But you're doing great. So, I mean, the goal is, okay, if you can only get once a week to the infrared sauna, great. Once a week's fantastic. If you can go multiple times a week, great, even better, but you're still getting your sweating going, which is good. And so hopefully that answers your question. All right. Anna's up next. Hey, Doc, I'm a certified IHP level 1 and level 2, and I love it so much. I'm always going back to the materials, and I feel like I will be doing so forever. There is so much content. My question is, one of my clients' saliva hormonal tests came back with lower than normal cortisol at the 4 different times in the day, but quite high DHEA. Some estrogen dominance too, but testosterone was okay. I'm usually used to seeing high DHEA when cortisol is high, but not high DHEA when cortisol is low. Is this common? Why would this happen? Okay, appreciate you tuning in, and I'm hoping, I don't know that I can find, let me just see if I can just type this in here. Stephen Cabral, stages of adrenal fatigue. And I know that we don't like to use the word adrenal fatigue, but we're going to do it anyway because we can, because it's our podcast. All right. So difference between adrenal fatigue and low thyroid. That was episode 382. That's not it. 3 telltale signs of fatigue. No, that's not it. Let me see if I put in 7 stages. Stephen Cabral, 7 stages of adrenal fatigue. Let's just see. I know it's inside of our IHP material. So, let's see. Well, okay. So I'm going to say this. Anna, I'm inside of your IHP level 2 material. And even just go inside of the IHP level 2 private Facebook group and ask, hey, what lesson well, I know where it is. It's inside of the adrenal hormones-based lab test lesson. But inside of that, you're actually going to find the 7 stages of adrenal fatigue. Again, I'm putting that in, which means HPA axis dysfunction. And that will share with you why. But here's the thing. So it's funny because we got 2 questions on high DHEA in one Cabral HouseCall, and this has never happened before. And I know that for a fact. Let me share with you why. It's very rare to have high DHEA in general. As an IHP or any practitioner out there, you know that if you're seeing labs, less than 1 out of 100 people will come in as high DHEA. Like it's less than 1%. So it's super rare that we have both Ellen and Anna, who's an IHP working with a client. Not Ellen, though, because if it was Ellen would be getting these answers. But also this person has low cortisol. Okay, so let's go over this. This person right now has lower cortisol, but higher DHEA, all right? So again, this is rare. This is not as common. If we're looking at, and you'll find this as well, Anna, inside the material. So the alarm stages of adrenal fatigue, you have high cortisol, high DHEA, sometimes you even have high hormones because the body is in high alert. So it's in this like alpha-based state. It is all out, survival-based mode, ramp up the stress hormones, full tilt, go, go, go. DHEA is high, so you're not going to get sick, right? Because the immune system's just like super boosted because of all the norepinephrine that you're spilling out in your body. And that's but you can't keep that up forever, right? So then you start to fall down the mountain. And all of a sudden, you start to see that AM cortisol start to drop. Now, evening cortisol might be high, and that's causing insomnia, which again, this is very, very common, right? So the person above was sharing that. So then you start to get some fatigue, and then you start to see DHEA drop. Okay, now towards the very end of HPA axis dysfunction, before all of your hormones and stress hormones begin to drop, there's one more last-ditch effort by the body to deal with chronic stress. So Anna, whoever you're working with, it's because of chronic stress, and their body is giving a one last strong push. Okay, this was outlined by Dr. Hans Seeley about, 50, 70 years ago. I've given many of his book recommendations before. You're welcome to check them all out. So the stress of life, etc. All right, so that's what happens. And so this person, chronically fatigued, you can see they have low cortisol all day. The body's trying to give a big push. DHEA is used for those sex hormones, for testosterone, to help balance cortisol. It's also used for the immune system. So all of these are potential reasons why, okay? So this person needs a calming, nourishing, caring-based protocol to repair and regenerate and rejuvenate that body, starting with the nervous system. All right? Figure out what's wrong. What are the energy drains in their life or their gut or heavy metals or viruses or autoimmune. Work on all that, and then the body will begin to start to come back to life. All right, let's get in one more question. This one's from Roberta. Roberta says, I have Hashimoto's. I keep reading, I should not take ashwagandha if you have Hashimoto's. Is this true? Thank you, Roberta, 56, with terrible hot flashes due to postmenopause, brain fog, anxiety, and panic attacks. Thank you. Okay, great question. So there's no studies that I've seen. This is basically what happens like for the pandemic. We had people saying, you should not take elderberry because elderberry has been shown to increase cytokines specifically to boost the immune system, and that could cause potential issues with this particular virus. All right, well, we know that wasn't the case, and it's not the case. Does it increase cytokines? Yeah, when your body needs those specifically, because remember, it's not a medication. It's not a pharmaceutical. It helps your body to create balance, right? So ashwagandha seems to be the same, because when you look at the research around low thyroid, we actually see that using ashwagandha with low thyroid, which would mean higher TSH, I know that's why that's very confusing, because when your thyroid's not optimal, it's above a 2.5, right, for your TSH. So what they found was that ashwagandha actually helped improve T4, T3, and it reduced TSH by, at the minimum, 17.5%, just from taking ashwagandha, by the way. So pretty fantastic. Now, I know your question's more about autoimmune. I can't answer your specific autoimmune issues because that would assume that I would know why you have autoimmune issues. However, I'll tell you this. You are most likely someone that's stressed, right? Because you have anxiety and you have panic attacks. And so I assume, again, I'm just assuming that there's stress there. If I were in your position, I would run the Big Five, or at the very least, I would run the Candida Metabolic and Vitamins test, or I'd run the starter kit, Candida Metabolic and Vitamins test, along with that minerals and metals test to look for heavy metals and electrolyte stress. And I would run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism. And then you're going to be able to get a program, even if you just run those three, based on exactly what's going on. Because most people with autoimmune issues have deep underlying gut-based issues. I just did a podcast on this that I'd love to be able to share with you, Roberta. And let me get that number for you, all right? Because I know it was just in the last couple weeks. So let's see if I can find it. And it was, well, this is a good one. The real reason wheat and gluten are dangerous to consume. That was 1908. And the root cause of all allergies begins in the gut. That was 1901. I know that that's not autoimmune, but it's about the same. Well, those are good ones to listen to. And just, again, I would go back to reading The Rain Barrel Effect, understanding that 90% of all autoimmune issues begin with intestinal permeability, increased intestinal permeability, AKA leaky gut. And I'll also be doing another podcast on that probably even next week. So much more to come on that. Hopefully this answered your question because, again, even though people said, well, ashwagandha helps improve this part of the immune system, they all of a sudden believe that that's going to cause more autoimmune issues. I haven't seen it play out in a clinical practice for sure, and I haven't seen any specific research that it caused greater issues as well. But again, this is not medical advice, so you can always, of course, seek out that medical advice should you choose to. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate you. I truly do. Tomorrow, we'll be back with our motivation and mindset Monday. I do hope that you tune in. One of my favorite ways to start the week with you. All right, take care. I'll talk with you soon. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you do not miss out on this week's special promotion over at equa.life. Right now, you can take 30% off all individual at-home functional medicine lab tests. The same exact ones that we use in our private practice, we are now open sourcing to the entire world. We literally ship to over 30 countries around the world, and every single at-home functional medicine lab test, not only does it come with a 30-minute consultation, a one-on-one meeting with one of my certified integrative health practitioners that's on the EquaLife team, but they are going to make sure that you understand your results. That is the big EquaLife difference. You can get a lot of lab tests that are popping up kind of all over the place now, but these companies are not providing you with what really matters. And that's the data, so that you don't need to Google search and figure out and find out all sorts of different things that may or may not be true. So you're gonna get a call with a qualified individual that is going to share with you exactly what those lab results mean based on you as an individual, not just based on the numbers. Plus, in addition to that, you are going to get a protocol that was meant for you. So based on your lab, based on your results, based on your personal story, you're going to get a protocol that fits you. That is the EquaLife difference, and that is why I cannot recommend at-home functional medicine lab testing through EquaLife enough. Right now, you can save 30% off most, or I should say all individual labs at equa.life while supplies last. So head on over to equa.life, that's equi.life/labs to see the already marked down 30% off. You can do gut testing with your organic acids test. We call that Candida Metabolic and Vitamins test. You can do the IgG food sensitivity test. You can do the bacteria and parasite stool testing. All three of those can be used for gut testing. You can choose one, you can choose multiples. You can do the stress hormones and metabolism test, which looks at your stress hormones like cortisol, your sex hormones like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA. It even looks at your thyroid in 4 different spaces. It looks at your vitamin D, your insulin, and hemoglobin A1C. That's absolutely phenomenal. You can look at your omega-3 levels to see what your levels of omega-6s, which are inflammatory, to your anti-inflammatory omega-3s are. You can do a minerals and metals test to look at your mineral levels, your electrolytes, as well as heavy metals in your body. Neurotransmitters test, mold test, environmental toxicity test. There's so much right there that you can check out. So if you've been wanting to save 30% on any one of those at-home lab tests, this is our biggest promotion to date. We want to make sure that we get these labs into as many people's hands as possible. The information is life-changing. Head over to equi.life/labs for all the details. Take care.